All right, let's get into our next topic of today's show. So the New York Knicks have made some crazy moves in the past couple of days, signing OG Anunoby to a 5-year, $212.5 million deal. That's $42.5 million per season on average, and also trading for Mikal Bridges from the Brooklyn Nets. And when it comes to Anunoby, according to Ian Begley of SNY, Anunoby would have received several max contract offers if he had hit free agency. But the former first-round pick has bought into the Knicks' vision and wanted to be a part of it. Now, the Mikal Bridges is pretty crazy, and so let's bring it up right now. So the Knicks get Mikal Bridges, and the Nets receive Bojan Bogdanovic, a bunch of first-round picks, one of them is a pick swap, another one's protected by the Milwaukee Bucks, and then another second-round pick. So you're giving up so many. I think this is 6 first-round picks, a second-round pick, and Bojan Bogdanovic, all for Mikal Bridges. So the Knicks' odds actually moved drastically from being plus 1,600 to now number 2 in the NBA at plus 725. So their odds have jumped well above a lot of these top-tier teams because this move is crazy. I'll jump into the potential lineups later, but I want to start with you. Do you like or dislike these moves, these recent moves that the New York Knicks have made?
I'd say one thing about the Knicks recently, their front office has improved dramatically, right? They have done a very, very nice job. They brought in Jalen Brunson. Now they brought in Bridges. They re-signed Anunoby. They don't have the real dominant center. You know, I'm sure they'd love to have Embiid, but he's not going to be available for a couple more years probably. But I do think they strengthened their team a lot. I like the re-signing of Anunoby. They've been very successful with him, and when he's on the court, 32 games with him this past year. They were 26-6. That's great. The one thing about Anunoby you got to watch out for here is he's a little bit injury prone, right? He did get hurt after they started 12-2 with him. Both he and Julius Randle got hurt in the same game on January 27th. Anunoby had an elbow injury, and he sat out 27 of the next 30 games with that injury. And so, can he stay healthy? I think that's an issue. He wound up with a hamstring injury in the second round of the playoffs against the Pacers, where if he'd been healthy and stayed in there, I'm pretty sure the Knicks would have won that series, and they would have faced Boston in the finals. I don't think they would have gotten by Boston, given the way Boston just dominated in the playoffs. But I think they were a much better team with him on the court, and adding Bridges, acquired from the Nets. He's going to be in the starting lineup with Anunoby, Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, and who would be who's the center? Oh, probably Hartenstein. Right. And I love the signing of Bridges for another reason. He's a Villanova grad, right? He played with the big three for the Knicks: DiVincenzo, Hart, and Brunson. So adding him, they've almost got a full starting lineup of Villanova players who all played together in college. How often does that happen? Rarely. Bridges has got a nice stat line. His career stat line, 32, almost 33 minutes a game, 14 points per game, 48% field goal percentage, 37.5% from three-pointers, 4 rebounds, 2.6 assists, 1.2 steals, and that's the career. I mean, he's gotten better every year. In 23-24, 34 minutes a game on a team that was really very poor. They had 19, almost 20 points a game, 43.6% from the field, 37.2 from threes, 4.5 rebounds, 3.6 assists, and 1 steal. It's a pretty good stat line, particularly you put him out there on the floor with Anunoby, who has averaged almost 15 points a game last year, 4.2 rebounds in 50 games, 38% on threes. He's built himself into being a very good three-point shooter, and he's one of the premier defenders on the perimeter. So I like the team. I think they're going to be very, very formidable this year, and I do think that they will. The lineup there with the Celtics first and them second in the East is probably right.
Well, I thought about this a lot, right? $42.5 million for Anunoby. when apparently his floor was 35. It was 30, and then we heard about a couple days ago when I talked on Tuesday that it was up to 35 by that day, and I think the very, very next day they signed him to this massive deal at $42.5 million. So I actually like this move a lot. Anunoby in the regular season went 20-3 with the New York Knicks. In the month of January, him, Brunson, as well as Hartenstein, and it might have been Josh Hart as well, but I'm not sure. I think it was the top three, though. Those first three players were in the top three of plus-minus in the month of January in the entirety of the NBA. Now, the big question, after getting Mikal Bridges, who I think is a brilliant fit, and I'll get into that in a second, as well as re-signing OG, which they need, a nice wing guy, great defender, get a couple nice threes from the corner. It's a brilliant, brilliant move. The next one is to get a big man like you mentioned. Julius Randle in the playoffs, he comes up small. His availability recently hasn't been great, injured most of the year. They need another big. Mitch Robinson, I've said this now for 2 years, and I hope it comes true. No disrespect to Mitch. The Knicks need to get off of him. Mitchell Robinson has complained about his offensive production and his participation in the offensive scheme of the Knicks for now 3 seasons. He's not a good offensive player. He's a pretty good defender and an elite rebounder. What did we see this season from another Knicks big man? When he needed to step up, he definitely did. Isaiah Hartenstein. So the first move that the Knicks need to make after these 2 moves is to trade Mitchell Robinson, and reportedly the Wizards are in contact with the Knicks about potentially trading for Robinson. Guess what? That would help you clear up a lot of money, about $14 million of cap space, which you need because you are very close to reaching that first apron and a little bit farther, $16.9 million from the second apron. That's a lot of luxury tax you got to pay because that's what the NBA is now. So, Hartenstein stepped up when he need to. You have no real need for Mitch anymore, who isn't very good offensively, does not have great passing ability. He's a great rebounder, but we saw Hartenstein, and by the way, speaking about Hartenstein, he was number 2, right? We talk about his great offensive rebounding. We're that midway through the season. He was a top-tier player in offensive rebounds. Hartenstein was number 2 in the NBA in offensive rebound percentage. I think he definitely stepped up when he needed to. He was second in offensive rating and fifth in defensive rating last season. He definitely stepped up when had to. Mikal Bridges is part of this now. What was the problem the Knicks had at the very end of their run? Availability. What's one thing Mikal Bridges brings instantly? Availability. He has not missed a single game of basketball since high school. He's played 474 straight games to begin his career. That's exactly what the Knicks need because Tom Thibodeau will play his guys 40-plus minutes in the regular season and expect them to still produce at a high level even into the playoffs. That's not how this works. So if you get a guy like Mikal Bridges who could step in at any time, give you 33 minutes a night, why not? Put up 20 points a game or around it. He averaged 19 last season. Take a lot of the load off of Jalen Brunson and still be one of the league's better defenders. Also get a number of shots. Why not? He has great production. He plays every single game. So why not? The only problem I see with this is who's going to get the ball. It's the same thing as the Golden State Warriors when they got KD. It's one basketball. We see Mikal Bridges averaging nearly 16 field goal attempts per game. We also have Dante DiVincenzo last season, averaged a little over 12. Jalen Brunson, he takes a number of shots. He was averaging like over 20 shots a game in the playoffs. I mean, even then, Julius Randle, he was shooting 18-plus shot attempts a game. There's one basketball to go around. But I want to show this potential starting lineup because I do think this is crazy. The potential top 10 players on the Knicks. The starting 5 is incredible. Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, Julius Randle, and Isaiah Hartenstein. Then your bench is Miles McBride, Deuce McBride, Dante DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, Tyler Kolek, their rookie, and also Kevin McCullough Jr., also a rookie that they drafted. 2 very, very good rookies. So I do think that the Knicks are, and I do think the odds are correct. The odds should be that the Knicks are number 2 because Denver still doesn't have a bench. Minnesota's very young. And also the Thunder, they did get Alex Caruso, which I think is a great pickup. But I just think the Knicks are a better team than the 3 below them.
You think they're better than the Nuggets?
I do.
I think they're number 2 in the East.
Bench.
I think they're number 2 in the East, but I do think the Nuggets starting 5 is better than the Knicks starting 5.
Okay, starting 5 maybe. I'm talking about the entirety of the team here.
Yeah.
The Nuggets have no bench. You had Bruce Brown and Christian Braun. You had a couple nice pieces. You even had Reggie Jackson. You traded him away. Bruce Brown left in free agency and I think accepted his player option or team option, something like that. He accepted whatever option he has. I forget what it was. Today or yesterday. The Nuggets need to build a bench.
Yeah, well, maybe the Nuggets will make some moves.
Maybe.
We'll see.
Maybe.
Yeah. I do think the Knicks strengthen themselves. Whether they're number 2 to win the title, I question. Whether they're number 2 in the East, I agree. I think in the West, you showed the Timberwolves there and the Nuggets. The Timberwolves are an up-and-coming team as well.
They are.
And I think that they, in the finals in the Western Conference, they showed their inexperience. I think that's what beat them, particularly Edwards. He's only 22 years old, so he's only going to grow. Towns is very strong, and they have Rudy Gobert, who is a beast. He's huge. So I think they've got the pieces to compete again, and I think they're disappointed they didn't get it done after they beat Denver in the first round. So I think it'll be tough for the Knicks to get to the championship round this year, particularly with the Celtics. The way they played this year, and they have everybody back. And they're focused on, now they've gotten over the hump with their first championship between Brown and Tatum. They're looking for more, and they definitely got the pieces to be able to get it done.
I think the big thing is you've got your wing defenders down now to handle Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. OG and Mikal Bridges, I think it's going to cause a lot of hell when they face up against the Celtics next year.
What about Porzingis, though?
Porzingis, well, then you got Hartenstein, or you got Julius Randle on him. Well, right now, Porzingis is looking like he could miss the very beginning of the season. I think the big thing with the Knicks is, age-wise, they're not old whatsoever. They're main pieces. So right now, Jalen Brunson's 27. Mikal Bridges is 27. Julius Randle's 29. Hartenstein is 26. If you want to keep Mitch in there, he's 26 as well. They have an extremely...
How old is Brunson?
I believe Brunson's 26. He's 27, excuse me. 27. So these guys are all under 30, and they're all the stars of the show.
Yeah, the Knicks have a strong bench. They'll have a strong bench with DiVincenzo and Hart coming off the bench.
I think Anunoby's also 26.
And
he's 26
Miles
years old.
McBride, he showed that he could play.
He had a couple moments. Yeah. But when you rely on him to be your bench scorer, when you rely on him to be your main scorer off the bench, that's where you have a problem. Now you have Dante DiVincenzo off the bench. Guys could shoot 40% from three at a high clip, which he showed this past season. And think about this. Yes, it is an insane amount of draft picks. Let's bring up the trade one more time. But these types of contracts and these types of draft picks, you would have given all of this for Donovan Mitchell. You got two players out of one player, basically. Because the contract and the amount of draft picks that you gave up for OG and now for Mikal Bridges is basically the same amount that you would have needed to give up for Donovan Mitchell.
You really think they had to give up Bogdanovich to make this deal happen?
I think he's a contract piece to make it all work. Yeah. I think they may trade away Bogdanovich. But I think in totality, you gave up not that much for OG based on the value, and you give up a lot for Mikal Bridges. But like I just said, you would have needed to given all of these pieces up for one player in Donovan Mitchell. You got two tremendous wing defenders, and also OG's not going to shock you with his offensive prowess. However, in Game 2, OG was the reason why the Knicks weren't down by 20. He scored 22 points, one of only two players to score double digits in the first half against the Pacers, which they ended up winning that game by 9. He was the only reason why the Knicks weren't down by 20 plus. He scored 22 points in the first half. Kept them alive in that game. So
he's a good player.
OG, and by the way, the game was a Game 7 or Game 6 when the game OG came back. He started off very hot at 5 points and never played another minute after that.
He couldn't be out there with the torn hamstring.
Right, but what I'm saying is that he started off hot, made a nice three, and then he couldn't handle it anymore and had to go out. So it's just unfortunate that way. But
can he stay healthy? I think that's the big thing.
Well, Mikal Bridges comes in and helps you with that. Like I said, 474 consecutive games.
Yeah.
Hasn't missed a single game since high school. Screw the defense and screw the offensive scoring. Just get another body out there. You were left with injured players and reserves at the very end at the end of the Knicks season. Mikal Bridges gives you availability. That's the one thing you could absolutely count on. He's an Iron Man. And maybe that's all the Knicks need is another half-decent to really good player just being out there on the court.
Yeah. We'll see.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, if you want to check out the full episode, make sure you click the I in the top right-hand corner right now. If you want to listen to this show anywhere you go, make sure you go to anchor.fm/The Harvey Hour or anywhere you get your podcasts.